Oh, hey, buddy, it's your old pal Scott, and this is Let's Talk Tabletop. I have with me an artifact from March 1996, and this has helped me research exactly what the prices with Games Workshop product has done over the last 30 years, basically. This is 2025 as of the time of this recording. So let's dive into it to see if Games Workshop is a greedy corporation or a benevolent benefactor. Let's dive into it. So I met up with a longtime friend of mine, Kojo, and a bunch of my friends went up to his place and met with a bunch of our other friends we all know from Shorehammer. And he happened to have a bunch of old boxed games like Talisman and Hero Quest and a bunch of old stuff. And one of our friends was looking through it, and he found this box of not really game parts, but just a bunch of random things from a long time ago. And in it is a trade order form from March 1996 for Games Workshop products. Now, what makes something an artifact? In my opinion, oftentimes things like comic books that didn't have any value back in the day often got thrown away and whatnot, and then people find value in them later on, and it makes them very valuable to them. I obviously don't think this trade order form is the Ark of the Covenant or anything like that, but to me, when I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, a relic from the past. And it has pages upon pages upon pages of all of the prices that they would charge, and even like some little footnotes here where he was talking about Ron Keith and his phone number, and apparently he wanted to order some Tyranid blisters. Anyway, I was ecstatic when I found this, and I asked Kojo, could I please, please, please have this? And he said, sure, because it's more or less trash. There's no actual value to this, but it is invaluable to me. I am so excited to have this, and I have a couple other little like artifacts from the past, really old books. I have a Freebooters book and some other things like that that I really treasure, and I have no idea why. It's just the way I am. So let's dive into some prices and see if Games Workshop is screwing us or if they're actually not that bad after all. Now, I will tell you my bias in this. My belief is that Games Workshop prices are way too high. It's really turned me off in recent years, and despite me having 24 armies, over the years, my purchasing's gone back way, way, way far to almost nothing for Games Workshop product. And the reason why is that I just can't afford $80 for a Dreadnought or whatever. I'm not doing it, right? I'm too darn old for this. Now, my hypothesis for this was that Games Workshop is completely raking the player base over the coals with these prices. Exorbitant prices like nothing we've ever seen before. We'll see if that pans out or not, but that is the way I was going into this because I just think they're too high, okay? Another thing to mention is that inflation has gone up about 100%. I looked it up. It's like 100.1% from 1996 until now. So, logic would dictate if Games Workshop was not raking us over the coals, if something was $30 in 1996, it would be $60 now. And it's the same, supposedly, according to our pay rates and all of that nowadays. So you would say, oh, well, if it was 30 then and 60 now, that's reasonable because it's the same per capita, right? All right. I'm not taking into consideration anything like exchange rates because I'm just taking an American-centric point of view. How much did it cost us then? How much does it cost us now? I'm aware that exchange rates in the 90s were very favorable to the US dollar, and now they're not so much with the British pound. You know, that adds another compound set of percentages on this. So I'm just going to go by how much did it cost the American consumer in 1996, and how much did an equivalent box cost us now, and we'll see if it is to our detriment or not. Another thing to mention is that when I look through this and I say, now remember I didn't play back in 1996, when I look through this and I see Space Marine box $6.50, $6.50 for 10 Space Marines? It's actually not 10 Space Marines. I had to research this. And they're talking about the blister packs. So it would be 2 Space Marines for $6.50. So you're paying $3.25 a Space Marine. And they were metal. At this point in 1996, A good portion, probably most of the Warhammer line was metal, but they were constantly releasing new kits in plastic. But you could take this order form, go to your local store and look at this order form, and they had miniature catalogs every year of like, oh, here's all the things you can buy, but they didn't have prices in them. This is the trade price book from that store. So the problem is that a lot of this is not one for one. I see a lot of Space Marine boxes in here with like 6 or 8 miniatures and not 10. Now, luckily, there is a 10-man squad in here, a box set, and they're considered boxed sets, which is interesting to me too. As they were making like Dire Avengers and other things in plastic, they were considered boxed sets, not just what we'd consider the kit now, right? Once again, they were still selling a lot of miniatures in metal at that time. So you had the blister packs, you could order particular characters, sergeants, weapons, or to bulk out your army, you had the plastic boxes of just the basic kits. So let's start. I've delayed this long enough. Let's get to it. This BO441 Terminator box was $32 back in 1996. This newer box is $62.50. As you can see, that's actually not that bad. If we're talking about prices should be double as far as inflation, that's pretty much double, right? This box of BO805 Blood Claws was $32 back in the day, and this newer version is now $60. Again, okay, slightly less than half. Now, this isn't going to be the situation for all of them, but so far, so good. This BO436 Storm Boys box for orcs was $25 back then, leading you to believe it should be about $50 right now, and according to the website, it was shockingly $40, which is very odd to me. I was pretty sure it was higher than that. 0443 Cadian Shock Troops was $27 back in the day for 10 men. And now the new one is $52. So again, not so bad. 27 to 52. Technically, that should be $54 if it were double. Now, these 0777 Gene Stealers Pure Strainers, they were $15 back in 1996, and now they are $58 for this new set. It's an increase of almost 4 times compared to what it used to be. Not sure why that is. 0378, this old Carnifex here was $27, and it was metal, mind you. And now the new Carnifex, now they sell them in Carnifex broods, and I had to have it, but a single Carnifex now will run you $52.50. So, again, $52.50, 27, it's actually about double, right? Roughly, vaguely. Now we get to the Lehman Russ. 0785 Lehman Russ kit, seen here, was $27.50 in 1996. And now, essentially the same exact kit is $70. 0663 Blood Angels Dreadnought was $32 back in 1996. And I do love this model. Of course, they don't really technically sell this model anymore, so the best I could do was this, and it is $72. So, again, not that bad, actually. I was going into this really thinking that it was going to be a complete abuse of the player base, and I guess it's okay, actually. But this is where this stops, because the Gene Stealers were a pretty huge price increase, right? But the characters the same cannot be said for characters. In this trade pamphlet here, Mephiston was just released. It was a brand new release in Games Workshop's product line. And at the time, he was $8.50. Now, the new Primaris model is $45. So that's vaguely 5 times price increase. And I'm not going to go into a bunch of different characters. Researching them, they all seem to be 4 to 5 times higher than they were before. So we can see this trend that some things such as Pure Strain Gene Stealers got quite a bit of an increase. But a lot of things are actually below 100% increase. And I am not a GW apologist. I typically tend to be on the other side of the spectrum. But I have to admit, despite my hypothesis of most of the prices should not be 100% more, they should be 200% more, right? It should be way overboard. Actually, it's not, and many of them are slightly under 100% increase. Now, I understand that it probably should be that way, right? With technology increasing efficiency of things, plastic is way cheaper to make than metal. Metal was a lot of the stuff back then, but I only judged the kits that were plastic. I did not go into the metal kits. I do understand that the Carnifex and the Dreadnought were both metal, and so was Mephiston. But I was blown away that this is actually not that bad. I don't know. I mean, according to inflation, it's really not that bad. So, thank you again to Kojo for this stupendous artifact I will treasure forever. And I still can't tell you why I'm so happy about it. But I am so happy to have something from ancient times 30 years ago. What do you think about this? Let me know in the comment section, like, share, subscribe. Anyway, check out my genre agnostic, miniatures agnostic skirmish game and mass brutality game. And that's brutalityskirmishwargame.com. Also, thank you so much to my beautiful, sexy, good-smelling Patreon patrons. They are listed right here. And I'd like to thank a special thanks to Kojo for giving me this packet of information from years gone by. If anybody has any questions about the prices of things, I might be able to answer it in the comments. But keep in mind that not everything is sold the way it used to be. There was 8-man boxes of Space Marines. There was 2-man blister packs, 10-man boxes. Things aren't quite the same, so it might be hard for me to actually find the price for it. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.